What's up, guys? So as you're tapping in, let me know where you're coming here from. Make sure you like the video. As soon as you say what's up, like the video whether you're catching this live or you're catching it on our Johnny Says Boxing playlist. Also, guys, like we talked about yesterday, not a busy week. There is some action. You could call us architects. That's what I like. That's what I'm rolling with lately. Designing schemes, designing parlays, or archaeologists, especially like a week like this. There's nothing on the surface. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we're walking through sort of like ruins and we could see artifacts and skeletons of old, prehistoric dinosaurs. There's nothing on the surface. What we do have are a couple cards that the sports books aren't releasing odds yet. One of those cards is a card in Manchester, the Misfits boxing card. Now, that Misfits boxing card is being promoted and they're selling it with Darren Till, Luke Rockhold. We know Luke was a former world champion in the UFC. I was actually at the fight in LA when Michael Bisping stepped up, I think, on 10 days' notice, and he actually beat Rockhold to become a world champion in the UFC. That was MMA, though. And then also Tony Ferguson, a guy who at one time, El Kukui, was one of the most feared lightweights in the world. He had an amazing winning streak going, very unorthodox guy, was good on his feet, good on the ground, very enigmatic character, and, was scheduled to fight. At the time, him versus Khabib was the biggest fight to make. This is before Conor. And things kept happening. People were missing weight. One of the most sort of documented moment was at the I think it was the pre-weigh-in when he tore his ACL tripping over microphone cords. It was insane. And then the new casual MMA fans will remember Tony as a guy who just can't win. I think he ended up losing something crazy, maybe 5, 6, 7 of his last fights. He's fighting a dude I've never heard of, Nathaniel Bustamante. I think he's an influencer. And there is one fight with real fighters on that card. So Ty Mitchell was taking on Sean Hemphill. We actually covered Sean Hemphill just a month ago. He fought on another UK card. He's the number 44 ranked fighter in the world at light heavyweight. Look, if we get I'm going to feature this fight. I'm doing a Stats Don't Lie video on this. I got to give a shout out to, I forgot your name and I apologize for it, but one of the boys on our channel, one of the boys in our Discord was like, Ty Mitchell, who's only 4-2, at one time was a really exciting prospect who went to prison and lost some years of his career due to sort of out of the ring issues. I couldn't really find his story. That's who Sean Hemphill is fighting. And then there's another card in Toledo, Ohio. I don't know if we're going to be able to get odds, man. The number 18 ranked 135 in the world, man. I've been a fan of Albert Bell for a decade. He's 32 now. He can't get promoted. He's 27-0. He's a great boxer. If you like the sweet science, if you like, a guy who knows how to operate in the ring. Another Ohio guy. He's fighting Keith Hunter on that card. I don't even, the promotional company is called Pulse Boxing. I'm not too familiar with them. And Abdullah Mason's older brother, 26-year-old Adele Mason, is on that card. So even if we don't get odds or options to bet on the books, I'm doing the Albert Bell versus Keith Hunter video today. That'll be uploaded, and that is on our Stats Don't Lie playlist. So if you guys are new to the channel, you are watching my Johnny Says Boxing podcast. I do lives every single day. Some days I do 2. If you go to the playlist section, find fight predictions. That's where you'll find my breakdown, analysis, predictions of upcoming fights. Stats Don't Lie. So I'm doing the Albert Bell fight. I'm going to do the Sean Hemphill fight. Stats Don't Lie. That might just be it for this week. Not a lot going on. But we do have action in MMA. There's not a UFC card this weekend, but we have week 3 of Dana White's Contender Series. So if you guys see in the titles or thumbnails and you guys are just true blue boxing fans, DWCS is Dana White Contender Series. It's a reality show in which they put rising prospects, contenders who, and they give them an opportunity to fight in front of Dana for a contract. So last week was week 2. There's 5 fights a card. We hit all 5 last week. It came out to be a plus 530. So we took 4 favorites and we took 1 underdog. Cam Rawson was a Kiwi striker out of City Kickboxing, where Israel Adesanya comes from. Famed gym in New Zealand. He was a plus 230. We threw him on the parlay, came through, and we're feeling good about ourselves. Those fights happen tomorrow, and we could cover those as well. If you guys aren't part of our Discord, we started it about a month ago. We're already over 180 Discord members. To become a member, you first have to join here, Johnny Says Boxing VIP membership. That allows you more access on the YouTube channel. That gives you access to the Discord where you'll see my parlays, my betting slips. More importantly, you become part of our community. I'm obviously in there. I'm moderating it. There's professional gamblers in there. Muscles is in there. Chilltown's in there. All the boys are in there. Goat is in there. So if you guys are new and you see this live stream and you see the blue stars, those are Johnny Says Boxing insiders. So guys, that's the rundown. 6 minutes in. I'm going to leave this on however long you boys want to chat. You could open it up however you want. You could talk about the fights this week. You guys could talk about the Contender Series tomorrow. You could talk about upcoming fights. We got Canelo Crawford. We got Virgil versus Erickson Lubin. The more I'm looking at that fight, I just did a post on my Instagram. Also, if you guys, a lot of you guys follow me on the gram, it's probably, if you want to get a hold of me quicker, it's probably one of the quickest ways. So a lot of you boys follow me. I'll follow you back. You guys will DM me your parlays. You'll ask about my sort of opinion on certain fighters and fights, both in boxing and MMA. Just follow me there, Johnny Stofko on Instagram. But I just shared a little montage of Lubin when he was 21. And I put a little caption that I think a lot of people, we know it's no secret that the boxing fandom, the average, not casuals and not super fans, but just the average boxing consensus, the average fan, it's a fickle beast, meaning that, you lose one fight in this modern era, people forget about you, they throw you away. And you don't let you have a little bit of hype on yourself either. You have a little bit of hype on yourself and, somebody's promoting you and you lose, shit, they're going to throw you away even quicker. It's horrible. It's a thing in boxing that I do my part on this channel to get away from. So you won't hear me trash guys, but more probably often than not, I'll bring up fighters that people don't talk about. Lubin's one of them, guys. As soon as Lubin's got this fight with Virgil Ortiz, I think it's for an interim title. Virgil's 27 now. Lubin's 52. No, Lubin's only 29. And that was my point, guys. Erickson Lubin is just now entering his physical prime. He had a couple tough losses. One young to Charlo. He got stopped. World title. And then the Seb Fundora fight, which was stopped due to swelling. Took a lot of shots early. I shared the scorecards up on my Instagram maybe a couple days ago. I don't know if people were aware or remembered how close that fight was. And if you rewatch Seb versus Lubin, Lubin was coming on. He was winning rounds mid and late when that fight got stopped. It's just that his face looked so destroyed that they had to stop it. And that was the right call. The swelling was insane. It kind of reminded me, if you watch the UFC, when Joanna Jędrzejczyk, she was fighting, I don't know if it was, I forget, it was a few years back. She's retired now, but she had that big swelling on the, I don't know if it was Shevchenko. Either way, that's what it reminded me of. You don't really see those contusions like that on the forehead every day. Adu, hoodie off, tees on, weather's starting to warm up. Let's go. Adu, man, good shout out on your boy from Australia. I'm going to give him a follow and tune into him. Seems like he's doing good work, so I appreciate you. Yeah, this is a Youngstown shirt. So there's a company out of Youngstown, my hometown, called Youngstown T-shirt Company. They send me shirts all the time. Check this one out. So this one has Bernie Kosar. You old heads will know. He was a quarterback from my hometown, played for the Browns. Pavlik, Jim Tressel, Al Bundy, which is Ed O'Neill from my town, and Boom Boom Mancini. So it's a Youngstown legend shirt. So I gotta rock Youngstown, flex on these fools. Yeah, so it's 6:40 a.m. It is getting warmer. Finally, we're approaching September, and Sydney's starting. The rains have stopped. So wherever you guys are tuning in, let me know what's up. Zhang, yeah, it was Zhang. My bad. See, it was Zhang, not Who did I say? I said Shevchenko. Yeah, that was a brutal swelling. Zhang is hot. She could break my man. You crazy, Dwayne? Nobody. I would. I know you're. That's tongue in cheek, but she could break your nose anytime. You must like pain. Dwayne the Pain Styles. Is that your fight name? Is that your ring name? You get walked out. Um, but we were talking about last night on our second live stream about the people were kind of surprised about the current odds on Bud versus Canelo. And I thought that, yeah. So if you go to, I'll just bring this up, see where this conversation goes. Currently, Canelo's $1.55. Valentina Shevchenko is hot. Yeah, she has her gun tattoo on her side. I mean, she's a shooter. You know, AK, she's like, it's well documented if you follow her. Yeah, she does sort of like, I think there's that place in either, I think it's California, Terran Tactical. He like, you go in there and he'll teach you how to like clear a room, how sort of like the military does it or like FBI agents do it. And she enters shooting competitions. Bullet, yeah. Shevchenko's nickname's Bullet. And because she's literally a shooter. And yeah, she's a fascinating character, man. Shevchenko is one of these women, former world champion, right? I don't think she has a belt anymore, but you know she would try. She speaks multiple languages. Her mother was like the head of the martial arts organization in her home country. She spent years in Thailand training at Tiger Muay Thai, South America. I think that's where she calls home now. She's just sort of like one of these global citizens of martial arts and just travels in her whole life picking up different skills. I remember when Antonina, her sister, Antonina Shevchenko, was a huge favorite. It was one of the biggest upsets. She was like a 7. She had just, I think it was her second fight. I went heavy on her to lose. I forgot who she was fighting. But yeah, whenever there's siblings, especially in anything, usually one is always going to be better than the other. I thought Antonina is better looking, but obviously Valentina is the assassin. He into that torture kink. DJ Green, you don't ever lie. He definitely likes that torture. Yeah, she got the belt back. Oh, she did get the belt back. All right, Migs. Yeah, she's been in the game forever, Valentina. Dude, when she was on her roll, like I'm talking before Alexa beat her, she was like, in the way Alexa beat her the first time, Grasso, how she lost her belt, that was insane. I don't think any of us saw that coming. DJ Green. So yeah, so the boys were saying $1.55 for Canelo. Right now on the money line, $100 on Canelo gets you your money back plus $55. And Bud is a $2.65 underdog. 100 on him gets you your money back plus 165. So Bud's not quite a 2-to-1 dog. And I'm looking at those odds, and it's like, because what's happening with guys who are this good, who have been in the game for this long, with a fight this magnitude, it's gonna, everybody's gonna be watching the fight, and so we're gonna be dealing. I mean, the fight goes down in a few weeks. We're gonna be dealing up until fight night with people who are gonna tell you Bud Crawford's gonna win just because he's better than Canelo, and people are gonna tell you Canelo's gonna win just because he's better than Bud. But those are sort of the conversations I don't like having. I like having the conversations with logic behind it and reasoning. DJ Green says, how do I feel about Mick Conlan versus Jake Bates? And Conlan's chin seems to be gone. DJ Green, I'm actually sort of shocked that Mick Conlan's fighting again. I got to be honest with you. When he was on his run, he was fun to watch. But certain guys throughout a career carry their damage better than others, and certain guys don't. We've seen it. We've seen guys look amazing, and then after one tough loss, everything changes. And Conlan, in my opinion, at 33, I feel like he should have retired. I'm pretty sure he's retired before. He's an old 33. You know what I'm saying? I remember it was that Lee Wood fight. I think, when Lee Wood stopped him in the 12th, that was a war. Conlan was never the same after that Lee Wood fight. That was 3 years ago. And that was when Conlan got knocked out. Isn't that when Conlan got knocked out and fell out the ring? It was a bad knockout. Yeah, he fell out the ring. That was and you know, Conlon was never the same. He then went on to beat Mariaga and Garfi. Luis, he got stopped against Lopez. When Jordan Gill stopped him, and no shade on Jordan Gill. Jordan Gill's great story. You know what I'm saying? A good domestic British guy, but Jordan Gill was not supposed to beat Mick Conlon, and Jordan Gill stopped him. You know what I mean? In the seventh. Conlon got dropped in the second. It was a close fight going into the seventh, and then he gets stopped against Jordan Gill. And I thought, you know, you pretty much think that has to be a wrap, right? He comes back, wins an 8-rounder. He takes 2 years off, beats Asir Khan, and now he's fighting Jake Bateson, who's 20-1. I mean, like I said, Mick Conlon's only 33. That's an old 33. Bateson's 31. He's 20-1 with only 6 knockouts. So, you know, the Brits, they have a lot of these sort of records. Not a lot. It's the British style. You know, they don't really, I don't know if they're not sitting on their punches. You know, it's kind of like when you look at an amateur style, the amateur style, they're going to tap you from the outside. They're going to win on the scorecards. They don't really like fighting in the pocket. They don't really like fighting in the clinch. But Bateson's one of these guys, 21-1, 6 knockouts, coming off a draw against Quartermain. And I guess if you're Mick Conlon and you wanted to have one more go at this thing, it's not a bad guy to go against, considering he only has 1 loss. We know how these algorithms work, BoxRec. We know how the sanctioning bodies work. 20-1. But damn, dude, Conlon's. I don't know. I was shocked that he came back after that. After Jordan Gill knocked him out. And everybody, you know, Conlon is the type of guy because of his name, and before the Lee Wood fight, you know, Bateson's going to give him the best version of him. That's another thing that doesn't get spoken about enough is when you get guys who, you know, were either titleists or had a lot of hype, and then, you know, they get to the stage of their career where they're sort of gatekeeping and they're still fighting, and they're taking on guys with lesser names who are trying to make a name off of them. Those are always the fights where, you know, guys the former titleist takes a lot of damage because they're getting a guy who's ultra prepared, ultra focused, and they're getting Conlon, who's already been to the top. He's facing a guy in Bateson, 20-1, who's never been there per se and wants to make a name off of Conlon. And these are dangerous ass fights, man. And, you know, in terms of the damage the kid, dude, go watch the Lee Wood knockout. It's brutal. After Lee Wood, he kept getting knocked out, and yeah, he get knocked out on the judges' table. That was brutal, man. It was one of the most, when people rank brutal knockouts, I always have to start, there's obviously a lot of them, but just my age and what I've seen personally, when Tommy Morrison got knocked out cold and he was stuck in the ropes, that was freaking ridiculous. But the Mick Conlon knockout, mate, was absolutely horrendous. Brutal knockout. They also sparred before, too. Do you know any insider stuff on them sparring, DJ? I mean, yeah, it says Bateson's from Leeds. That fight goes down, what, in 2 weeks? I mean, Mick Conlon, he's a fun fighter. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's an entertaining fighter when you watch him. Sandy Ryan's fighting in 2 weeks. Tyrone McKenna. Reito Tsutsumy's fighting again. Yeah, Mick Conlon is fighting September 5th. Iglesias versus Shishkin. I've been waiting for that fight for like a month. Osley Iglesias versus Vladimir Shishkin. That should be a good fight. Iglesias, huge favorite here, $1.12. That's interesting. I gotta be honest with you. Do you guys think those odds are good? Do you think that Iglesias is gonna just dog walk Shishkin? At one time, people were talking about this guy was the dude. He's already 34, 16-1, 10 knockouts. He's coming off. He lost to William Skull. Yeah, Iglesias going to smoke him. DJ says, I wish I had some insider info, but I'm thinking Jake is going to bring it to him. I'm going to send some messages out, DJ. You know, as we get closer to fight week, we put the birds out. You know what I'm saying? That's what we used to say growing up. It's kind of like if you're from, New York, it's a thing. Well, Tyson used to, have pet birds. But in a lot of, this goes back to the old Italian neighborhoods too. Whenever they would see, a way to sort of signal if the cops are there or if sort of the enemies in the hood, send the birds out. Now we use it as a metaphor. I'm sending text messages out these days. Michael Collin is fragile. 100% Julius. Julius, you brought up something in our Discord either yesterday or the day before. I wanted to talk to you about it. It was a hot take about... Julius, what was your hot take yesterday? Because I'm sure you'll remember it. It might have been about... It was either about Brian Norman or Devin or maybe Virgil. Kiza B, what's up, buddy? Iglesias going to smoke him. Yeah. You think Shishkin survives? I guess that's going to be the only, right? That might be the question, DJ and Kiza. Will Shishkin survive? He's coming off. Let's see those scorecards. Against Skull, 113, 116, 112, 116, 113, 115. Interesting. So if Shishkin beats Skull, Shishkin probably fights Canelo, right? That's how that was going to work? Because Canelo needed that belt. Iglesias 7-12. Boxing fan. What's up, big fella? Flying kites. Yep. Carlos Vargas. What's up, JSB fan? My guy. Appreciate you. Appreciate the support. So, Carlos, what are the locks this weekend? We don't got Vargas. We got we got fight cards, but our books aren't giving us any bets yet at all. So, the two books I use in Australia, Sportsbet and Bet365, aren't showing anything. Adu, now that I'm... Yeah, Adu, man, you've been selling Dave Allen, mate. Adu's been on all the boys' channels selling Dave Allen's YouTube. Now that I'm emotionally attached to Dave Allen thanks to his YouTube, the upcoming Makhmedov fight means more to me than just a boxing match. Adu, this is why we love our sport. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of truth to what Adu is saying here. And this is what I have to always check myself when I'm doing my breakdowns, because people don't come to my channel to get an emotional perspective. You know what I'm saying? But boxing, dude, think of how primal it is. It's a ring, a bell, two blokes who are trying to take each other's head off with just their hands, and a bell rings. Who's the better man? We'll see. And so, like, this is, dude, it's so, like, when you think about it, it's just a different level of primal intimacy for the fighters. And so for the fans, it's the same sort of thing. In this modern day of technology, when you could literally sit in your favorite fighter's living room if they're creating content per se, you get to know them on a deeper level. So I definitely understand that. And, I always have to check myself when people fight, because I interview fighters, when fighters I know or fighters I've covered or fighters I like. In an upcoming matchup, I have to listen to my dad's advice. Johnny, bet with your wallet, not with your heart. Keys is Salt Poppy, the lock. Is he decent? I don't know that. I don't know who Salt Poppy is. Yes, I've been watching Salt Pop. Damn, y'all boys are talking about. Who the hell? Is this the kid tight end fighting El Kukui? He's good. Tony's my favorite fighter, but he's getting slept. Darren Till gonna watch Luke Rockhold. Yeah, guys, there's actually a real fight on that card, though. There's Sean Hemphill's fighting. So Hemphill is fighting Ty Mitchell. Hemphill's ranked 44 in the world. We covered Sean Hemphill just 3 weeks ago. Sean, who's 19-2 with 11 knockouts, fights out of New Orleans. We covered the Mark Jeffers fight. Jeffers was 20-0. That was in the UK. And the scorecards were a bit all over the shop. But that was on the undercard of Callum Simpson and Ivan Zuko. That was June. Yeah, so, wow, it's already been 2 months ago. It seems like the Mark Jeffers fight seems like it was 2 weeks ago. That's how crazy time is. Time is insane. Hemphill should win. I don't know why they matched Ty. Somebody was, who was it telling us about who Ty is? I don't know, Kiza. Are you in the UK, Kiza? Maybe it was you in our Discord or on the stream last night. You were saying how Ty Mitchell is a guy who at one time had a little bit of pop behind him and then was sent to prison. Am I remembering that right? Did Ty Mitchell get locked up for something? And then or am I confusing him with someone else? Because Ty Mitchell's 4-2, 3 knockouts. He's been stopped once. 6'4", southpaw, 34 years old. What a great nickname, the Derby Banger. Ty is decent. He used to spar with Fury years ago, but then went to prison. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. So he went to prison for killing someone with one punch in a street fight. God damn it, that sucks. That is horrible. I had a friend who did that in Youngstown. There used to be this golf dome in Youngstown. It was actually pretty dope. It was literally what it sounds like. You just go there to drive golf balls, and there was a bar. So of course, Youngstown, Ohio, all the Midwest U.S. put a driving range and put a bar, and create a dome over it so the boys could go and do it year round in the snow, get all piss on liquor, and then get into some fights in the parking lot. My buddy got into a fight. It was an even fight too. It was a back and forth brawl, and the one punch that ended it, when the dude got knocked out, his head hit the pavement and died. It was insane. How long did he get locked up for? How long did Ty go to prison for? Mankey Crazy in the house. What's up, big fella? 6'4". He's a big boy, guys. How tall is Hemphill? Well, Hemphill's going to have all the experience. Hemphill's 6'1". DJ Green, Bateson, Shabazz, Masood. Watch Bateson versus Shabazz, Masood. Good fight, Mankey? Are any of you guys getting any options on that card? Are there 7 years? That's insane. Fucking crazy. Are you guys getting any options to bet on Albert Bell, the card in Toledo, or the card in Manchester? It's on DAZN. I don't see any book even offering bets on that. So Lucky punch in the 12th to stop Bateson. Okay. Masood beat up and stopped Bateson. Bateson is English, not even British. Bateson, English level, not even. What am I missing? Bateson is fighting. You're talking about Mick Conlon. You're talking about the Mick Conlon fight, right? Bateson's the kid who's fighting Mick Conlon. So you're saying Masood beat up and stopped Bateson. Bateson is English level, not even British level. Masood hurt Bateson in the 5th. Okay. I think I'm caught up now. Yeah, so is anybody getting books on the Misfits boxing? Are you guys able to bet on these fights? Julius says Mick Conlon got stopped against Jordan. Yeah, we were talking about that, Julius. The worst part about getting stopped against Jordan Hill in the 7th was how he got stopped against, how he got knocked out against punk ass. When Lee Wood knocked him through the ropes was brutal. Yeah, Conlon's never been the same. That was a brutal fight, back and forth, barn burner. And that kind of it's interesting. That kind of propelled Lee Wood, obviously, with the dub. But Lee Wood took a lot of damage. And even though we saw Lee Wood try to move up to fight Kakachi, you look at Lee Wood and how he operates. Even he seems to be a sort of guy who kind of has taken the damage with him. And, other than, being susceptible to some cuts, his durability... I mean, Kakachi did stop him, didn't he? But Conlon's never been the same, mate. There will be odds. They're not out yet. Okay, same. Julius, Mick Conlon peaked in the amateurs. No action, but yeah, let's eat. Fun fighter to watch, though. Yeah, Lee Wood. Well, that could just be because of his accent. You never know, if when you're hearing guys from other countries and you're from a different country, you never know if it's the accent. You know what I'm saying? But I had to. That's why I did my research on Boacek. I brought this up yesterday, boys, on the live stream, and I had an inkling. If you watch the build up to Boacek versus Virgil, they did the whole media stuff, and you hear Serhi speak, and then you look at he's glossy, man, his eyes, and then you hear him speak, and maybe he just wasn't up for Michael Fox, but mate, yeah, if you're Serhi Boacek's handlers, I don't know, he doesn't look like definitely does not look like the same guy. Doesn't sound. You could hear it. You could see he has a tick. He has this bit of a stutter, and he kind of has this a bit already. And I guess the sparring too, man. I should have listened to my brain to bet the draw on Rivera. Boys, dude, the draw's gonna kill us, isn't it? So mad about that. Good. It should piss you off, DJ. I don't. No, you shouldn't like L's. I'm still pissed off, dude. But come on, there's some. What decision? All right, what decision pissed you off the most about this weekend? For me, there's been a couple actually. This past weekend alone, I was actually shocked that they gave Cordova a draw. That was one of them. I mean, 2 10-8 rounds signify if you are down on the cards and you have 2 10-8 rounds, you better get some receipts. You better get your get back. You better drop your boy. You better, just put him in danger. None of that happened. So for that to be a draw, man, that just makes you think about, what's happening on those scorecards, those goddamn judges. That was one of them. And then the draw actually saved me, though, because Chamberlain Rafferty. I had Rafferty on the money line, and I use a book now in Australia where the draw doesn't ruin your parlay, it just voids the fight. I got to be honest with you, man. I had Chamberlain winning those late rounds. I thought I lost that fight. So the draw saved me on that one. David in the house. What's up, Eister? Draws can pay a lot, especially if you draw them. Of course. After 2 10-8 rounds, I'm like 100%. DJ was insane. Yeah, Tellez is insane too. Tellez's performance, we'll never get answers about Yanis Tellez, but I swear, dude, it looked like he either had, I don't know how big he is. They said he's only 5'10". 154 pounds isn't, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't look like he has a massive frame. So when I watch a guy who's struggling to get off, it looked to me Tellez was struggling to go through the gears. Now, how much of that was him not really expecting the pressure from Barral? Barral's pressure and the way Barral kind of operates, he doesn't do one thing exceptionally well. He's not exceptionally fast. He doesn't have one-punch knockout power. His reads, his feints, nothing jumps off the sort of paper when you're watching Barral fight. But when you put all that together, especially that front foot pace he puts on you, you got to see how Tellez, he struggled with that. And then Tellez made this sort of decision somewhere in the 3rd or 4th round where he was going to stop using his lateral movement and he was going to allow his ego to get the best of his fight IQ, because I saw a really low fight IQ from Tellez. People are going to talk about he got dog walked, he got beat up. You could talk about all that, right? But in order to get dog walked and beat up, you also have to get beat with your game plan. You have to, it's chess, guys. You ever play chess? I'm sure some of you boys are very intelligent. It's strategy. Strategy is a huge part of the game. So when you rewatch Tellez versus Barral, Barral didn't have to change anything. Barral kept to his game plan. Tellez never forced him to go to a plan B. Never changed anything. In the 3rd round, Tellez is already flipping from southpaw to orthodox. He was already switching stances. I think I first saw the first stance switch in the 2nd. And the 3rd, he actually did it. And I thought I was talking about this in the Discord. I thought Tellez actually looked better from the orthodox stance in the pocket. He was a little bit more defensively sound. I didn't realize he would have such lack of power. There was nothing coming back. And that made me think, like, damn, maybe he had a rough weight cut, because he usually, the book on Tellez is he could crack. And, even his speed, he had the speed advantage, but it wasn't there wasn't explosivity. And to finish my point from the fourth round on, he made a decision to fight him in the pocket the entire time when it's like, you know, the point A to point B style Barao is doing, he knows his finishing point. He wants to get you flat-footed. So for me to see Tejas sort of accommodate that, especially in the mid rounds when it was still kind of like, how are they scoring these rounds? You know, is Tejas up? Some of the boys had Barao winning every round. Some of them are really tough to score. But then, you know, from like the 6th, 7th, and 8th, it was kind of like Tejas made a decision to kind of live or die by the sword in the pocket. And, you know, the one thing you can't say about Tejas is that he's not brave. He showed me a lot of bravery, a lot of courage. He's a dog. I like that about him, a take-home point. You know, you know that he's not going to quit on himself. So these are things that people aren't going to talk about. Even though he busted our parlays, maybe this is me being a hopeless romantic and an optimist by nature, but I take that with Tejas. I'm like, all right, I know he's a dog now. Like, that's good to know moving forward. He's not going to quit on himself. My you know, growing up, there was a phrase, I ain't never been no punk. So you could see Tejas, he ain't never been no punk, meaning that, you know, it looked to me he had a cracked jaw. He didn't quit. He didn't get, you know, he got dropped. He came back up. So, yeah, my whole point is you got to make Barao make decisions. You got to make Barao's game plan is super easy to dissect, though. So some of the boys in the Discord like, Barao will beat Boots. Psh, slow your roll a bit with that. Slow your roll. That was the hot take, Julius. That was the hot take. You said Barao would beat Boots at 54. I thought that was an insane comment. So let me catch up after that little rant I just did. Punk ass Jake Paul. Cordova fought like bullshit. I usually bet on draws. I thought Rafferty lost too. Yep. Tejas fought more experienced fighter. You could see it. Yep. I hit everything but Tejas killed my parlay. Welcome to the club, big fella. Brooklyn in the house. Brooklyn. Good thing I had cab chasing skills for the 90s. I'm always going to listen to my head and go, come on, boys. Listen. Intuition's a big player. Tejas had zero inside game, incredibly amateurish. Yeah, Julius, you got to think about, like, I'm pretty sure Tejas' coach follows us. Tejas' Coach Bermudez, right? We could ask Coach Bermudez when he pops in again. Be like, what was... Dude, we have all the answers, guys. Coach Bermudez coaches Tejas, I'm pretty sure. He coaches Rohan, too. He's always on our chat. He's a member. He's in the Discord. We could ask him when he pops up. Coach Bermudez, if you're here, what was wrong with Tejas? I watched Virgil and Madrimov again, and man, I can't believe I had Madrimov winning. Verge was... you had Madrimov winning, Eister? Verge did what he wanted against Madrimov. Madrimov wasn't the same Madrimov, though, against Bud that he was against Verge. B-Money, I think Tejas got tired and couldn't use his legs. Something happened, B-Money. It was evident, right? Barao, dark horse at 54. Could be. Muscles, Jordan and Kobe, better than... You crazy. LBJ, baby, the king. Akron, Ohio. AK Ron, let's go. I will never bet on guys at 54 again in my life. I'm glad I hung it up before Saturday. Yeah, Eister, we know you don't like 54. It's all good. Tejas probably got his own way, 100%. Xander's highest got best feet at 54. Is the best feet at 54? I would take Josh Kelly's feet over Xander's feet. People sleep on Josh Kelly, man. Josh Kelly, I think I would take Kelly to beat Zayas. I gotta be honest with you. I'm taking, if the fight goes on, I'm taking Kelly to beat Murtazayev too. You guys think I'm insane on that. I don't think Murtazayev is the guy that everyone thinks he is. Josh's feet, his movement, his reaction, his speed. Who has a better... Dude, people forget Josh's jab, too. Go rewatch Kelly's tape. Watch his jab. His speed on his jab is insane. And he could crack. Boots would knock out Barao 100%. Barao's food. Looking forward to your live stream with Tommy, Muscles, and Gary. You boy, everybody's talking about the live stream. Adu, it's going to be 11 a.m. here in Sydney because I got sparring. So I got sparring in the city from 8 to 10. So it's 11 a.m. my time, Saturday morning, 9 p.m. in America, Friday night. We're doing that live stream with Tommy, Razor, Tommy, Ranon, and Muscles and Gary from 3D. They said Charlo's going to fight a Barao. Well, they said the sanctioning bodies might. Boot stops Barao. I agree. What was wrong with Tejas? What was wrong? Tejas! I think Charlo would have a better chance of beating guys like Virgil and Boacek. I'm done. The Charlos aren't even in my mindset anymore. I mean, I think, yeah, they're not in the conversation anymore, boys. Abreu has a chin. The other guys mentioned. You know what Abreu does well is his defense, and what Tellez did. I didn't expect Tellez not to have that. I didn't expect Tellez to have limited power. You got to break Abreu's body down, dude. If that dude comes at you, you got to use angles and rip under those elbows. Granted, he's here and he has a good defensive shell, but there's a way to get through there. Like I think Virgil would stop Abreu early. I think Virgil stops Abreu, before 8. It would probably take him 8 rounds to break him down, I think. Muscles, Josh Kelly's feet different, best at 54. All right, Muscles. So me and Muscle Brown, we had a little bit of a debate for the last 24 hours with the NBA, but we've come to an agreement with our boxing where it all began, where the boys met. I agree. People, how do you, yeah, who said somebody who had the best feet? They said, who did they say had the best feet at 54? I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? Xander Zayas has the best feet at 54. What? Josh Kelly's feet are insane at 54. But I believe Virgil and Boacek would beat Abreu. It's weird. Oh, yeah. Virgil would break Abreu down. Boacek, I think. Look, I learned more about Tellez than I did about Abreu. No shade on Abreu. I'm not sold on him. Very easy to game plan for. Very easy to strategize for Abreu's style. You see that style. You could go to any gym. You could probably go to a gym in Philly, go to a gym in New York, go to a gym in Cleveland, go to a gym in Detroit, go to a gym in, anywhere. You'll see that Abreu style. It's not gonna. It doesn't blow you away. And I think Tellez, that was part of the problem. Tellez definitely underestimated him. I'm no longer high on Boots. Turkey milkshake. Julius, you're a funny guy. Said he wanted tune-ups until Boots fights on Riyadh. Fair point, Julius. No. Fair point. I'm not a Boots dick rider at all. That's a great point. I agree with you. Julius says, I'm no longer high on Boots. Turkey milkshake said he wanted tune-ups until Boots fights on Riyadh. I'm apprehensive. Fair point. I mean, and the opposite side of that, first fight at 54, fighting the IBO champ. There's certain parts in the world, guys, where the IBO world title is acknowledged. I know it's not acknowledged in the mainstream, but, that kid does have an IBO belt. Boxing fan, me and my girl are going to watch that live. She's my boxing partner. Nice. That's amazing. That's a good relationship. See, my girlfriend, she doesn't like violence. She's my yin to my yang, which I need, so it's awesome, too. Virgil had a really busted up face against... Dude, it's boxing. I mean, it's boxing. Having a busted up face is boxing. Josh Kelly be tiring later. Julius, he has adjusted his style as of late. He's gotten a lot less. He wastes a lot less. He's not the 26-year-old anymore. He's like I think Josh is probably 31 now. We already thought it's wild. I at least thought he'd be fighting for world titles by now. Muscle Brown, one thing about Johnny is he knows his boxing, doesn't know shit about basketball. This dude's crazy. It makes sense, Muscle Brown. You're a Celtic fan. All those years LeBron was taking belt to ass, you just couldn't get over it, could you? We used to beat that ass. Cleveland, baby, in the house. Let's go. Boston soft-ass Celtics. Man, them cats are corny. I thought Madrimov swept the first 5 rounds, and the reason I went back and watched it again is because I'm trying to make my pick on... Oh, yeah. You thought Madrimov swept the first 5? Okay, you rewatch it. You're trying to make your pick versus Lubin and Virgil. I think Lubin and Virgil has a potential of being fight of the year. With both of their styles, and you mix in the Southie versus Ortho stance, front foot, Lubin probably, we'll see if Lubin counters more. Or, backs up. Sometimes he likes to... We'll see, man. I always remember Lubin prodding forward with that lead shoulder down. Kind of, a similar version-ish to EJ when EJ was cooking. But Ortiz's shots were so inaccurate. Yeah, or the thing about Ortiz, though, when he fights somebody who could crack, who is accurate... Yeah, because Ortiz wants to just get inside, man. He wants to tear your body up. He'll take, that's why his fan base is so strong and growing. It's why people respect him. He takes one. Takes one to give one. I mean, we'll see how long that style lasts. You can't live forever with that style. Damn, was Tejas that bad? Didn't watch. He was that bad. EV44, it wasn't good. He was brave, EV. Tejas was brave. He never quit on himself. He didn't look right to me, EV 44 ounce. 44 ounces to freedom. He didn't look good. He didn't look sturdy. He didn't look durable. So my mind thinks of like bad weight cut, maybe an injury in camp, maybe he wasn't able to spar as much as he wanted to, but mentally he never checked out. So he fought brave, but there's certain element like he couldn't hurt Barao, and his game plan was suspect, and his decision making was suspect, especially late. So that's experience though. Fresh BX says, Julius, it wasn't a problem for other fighters to have tune-ups. Turkey's had tune-ups on his cards in the past. Yeah, tune-ups is part of boxing. I mean, the kid's never fought a 54 before. I mean, he's fighting an IBO world champion. It honestly makes me more hesitant to pick against Lubin. Julius, Riyadh cards, hands down, most competitive fight cards. They should be, Julius. They got all that sports washing going down. You know what I'm saying? They got that Saudi joint. Let's throw all of our money into boxing and let the world forget about what's going on geopolitically. Come on, man. Saudi Arabia is taking the page out of the 1936 German page, the Munich Olympics. It's the same exact thing. It's sports washing. It's been going on forever. I told you guys, it's exactly, Jake Paul is doing the same exact thing minus war and minus killing and tyranny of people, but he's taking all those horrible adjectives that I just said about humanity, and he's using our sport of boxing as the people. So that's the metaphor. And, Germany in 36 with the Olympics in Munich, and takes down all the propaganda and welcomes the world there, and, all the handshakes and everything, looks very uniformed. And Saudi Arabia, throws all the money in golf, throws all the money in F1, throws all the money in boxing. Yeah, but, can we talk about Jamal Khashoggi? Can we talk about what's with MBS? Can we talk about the monstrosities about the powers that be in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia? Jake Paul, great girl promoter, but he does so much for women's sports. He's done so much for women's boxing. Look at the paydays. Yeah, but behind the scenes, he doesn't give a shit about women's boxing. He cares about his ego. So he's going to fight old-ass retired MMA fighters, old-ass legends. He's going to market himself. He uses his social media following to create a narrative and manufacture a story, all at the behest of our sport, which is the tyranny of people, to become ultra, ultra, ultra super wealthy, which he already was. So, I mean, it's all the same. I'm from Cleveland, but I have MJ over Braun. Sorry. B Money, I'm from the Yo. I don't. I don't. Oh, over MJ? Yeah. Yeah, I put MJ's one. Yeah, I put Jordan one. Jordan was the first man to make me cry. I remember, I told you, 1989, Richfield Coliseum. I was 7. It was Jordan 0-7 in the playoffs. Hadn't won a playoff series. 0-7. Took him to his 7th season. And then he hits that shot over Elo at the top of the key. And I had to go under my kitchen table as a 7-year-old to cry so my dad wouldn't see it. Henry Williams, yo, Johnny, how we feeling about Boise State versus South Florida on Thursday? I got my parlay Henry Williams cooking. I started last week, though, Henry. I got a little cheeky 18-legger in college football, paying like 1,000 to 1. Let's go. Hit that like button, 45 and 12 like. Yeah, 13 likes is depressing. You guys are 13 people liking the stream is like, I don't really mess with you, Johnny. I'm bored, so I'll watch your live. But I ain't liking your video. Who am I? I'm gonna like your video, punk ass? Yeah, that's what you guys say to me. That's rude. Julius, would Majimov or Boachuk beat Lubin? I don't think so. I would take Lubin over both guys. FX coaching, do you think Tank beats Shakur? Hell nah. Hell to the nah. Shakur taps that ass. I've been saying that for years, though. I've never been high on Tank. David Eister. Yep, I had the first 5 rounds for Majimov. I gave Virgil the 6th and the 9th. 10th was a swing. Majimov won the 11th, and I gave Virgil the 12th. But as far as scoring, I thought it was... I'd have to rewatch it, David. It's a fun fight. I did a breakdown on my channel. I used to do this video series right after the fights. I would do either it was or it wasn't a robbery, basically reviewing what I just saw. And one of the last ones I did was Verge versus Madrimov. So I want to watch what I said, and then I'll watch the fight. MJ had his career high in the cap. Of course, dude, MJ did everything against Cleveland. Come on now. MJ became MJ against Cleveland at the Richfield Coliseum. I told you that. But MJ won 0 rings without Scotty. MJ 6'6", dude. LeBron, I was telling LeBron does things on the court that MJ and Kobe only wish they could do. Also, something you boys don't talk about. MJ couldn't play the 5. Kobe couldn't play the 5. LeBron at any given time would play the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And in 2007, even though we got swept against San Antonio, look who LeBron took to the finals. The first time Cleveland ever made the finals. He took Sasha Pavlovich, Dwight Gooden, or Dwight, whatever. Was it Dwight Gooden? I think it was Dwight Gooden. Punk-ass Zydrunas Ilgauskas, punk-ass Larry Hughes, and LeBron. And they ran through the East. He had to score the final 25 points to beat the Pistons. Dude, that version of LeBron, get out of here, mate. I haven't even got to the 2016 version when we beat Golden State. We were down 3-1. But in 2007, they beat that Pistons team that should have won at least 3 more rings. Detroit had Rip. They had Chauncey. They had Tayshaun. They had Ben. And they had, who was their 5th? They had all All-Stars. And punk-ass Cleveland had nobody but LeBron, and LeBron dog-walked them. I don't want to hear about it. Sandy Ryan returns next week. Sandy Ryan bodied up, boy. I'm here for it. I got Shakur beating Tank, too. Yeah, Shakur dog-walks Tank. The reason I still think Ortiz is going to beat Lubin is because Lubin is not durable. Durability, but Ortiz, man, you can't say Ortiz is ultra durable. Granted, he's never lost. He's never been stopped, but we've seen him dropped multiple times. What's your early pick in Virgil versus Lubin? I think Lubin is too chinny. Virgil, I'm a bigger fan of Virgil. Like, Virgil's probably one of my favorite fighters, but right now I probably would side with Lubin to beat him. Right now. That's not my official prediction. Drew Gooden. Dirt. Pathetic. Drew Gooden, Dwight Gooden was the pitcher. You know what I'm talking about. Doc Gooden, the stud. We're going to need them locks on college football Discord. Big fella, they coming. We'll come. They're coming. I'll put them up, boxing fan. I watched that 25-point game against Detroit. Me too. It wasn't he scored 48. He scored the last 25 points. He scored the last 25 points at the end of the 4th and an OT to eliminate the Pistons. You boys are insane, man. LeBron is that, always will be that dude. And also, I should also mention, because I'm from Northeast Ohio, the Cleveland Browns never won a Super Bowl. Before the merger in 1960, they had won multiple championships with guys like Jim Brown and Otto Graham. But once the merger happened, they never won a Super Bowl in the modern era. The Cleveland Indians, some of the best teams in the 90s, never won a World Series. We lost in 95. We lost in 97. We lost in 2007. Great teams, never won a World Series. The Cavs never won a championship. So my sports franchise, where I come from, never won a title. You come from Northeast Ohio, come from nothing, from the streets of Akron, Ohio, and you bring us a world championship to Cleveland? Get out of here. Go. 6'9", 280, dude, in his prime. Who's guarding him? You guys are insane, dude. Jordan, dude, in their primes, I'm taking LeBron. I have to. I'm a loyalist, though. I take LeBron over Kobe any day of the week. I take LeBron over MJ, too. That's it. I'm standing on that hill. Let's go. Henry, how do you feel as a proud American I'm not a proud American basketball fan. You crazy. I don't even watch basketball, Henry. How do I feel as a proud American basketball fan watching our national team lose to Uruguay? That's hilarious. I'm not a proud basketball fan. I don't even watch basketball. I'm just a Cleveland Cavs fan. Guys, my whole mentality on boxing too, I'm a huge boxing fan, but I'm not a fan of any fighters. It's kind of reverse. So I'm a huge Cavs fan, but I'm not a fan of basketball. I still play. Basketball is actually my favorite sport to play, but I wouldn't call myself a basketball fan. They lost to Uruguay. They got some good ball players, though. Lubin is chinny at the time. Charlo sparked him. He was 21 though, Eister. Let that go. The announcer said Lubin had been knocked down earlier in his career, even though No, didn't Lubin get stopped in the amateurs? Didn't Lubin get knocked out in the amateurs? And up until that point, Lubin hadn't fought anyone good. Lubin been making 154 for 10 years. That weight going to be killing him. True. I mean, EJ made 47 his entire career. It's crazy. Let's get it. Johnny, don't forget about young D. Rose. Young D. Rose is my guy. Let's get it. I get emotional when I think about Derrick Rose, mate. One of my all-time favorite commercials of all time is that Gatorade. It was either Gatorade or Powerade, and it's Tupac reading his poem, The Rose. You know, you wouldn't ask a rose that grows from the concrete. You wouldn't ask him about his damaged petals. These are my damaged petals. This is the concrete. Don't ask me why. Ask me how. And it's Derrick Rose riding as a little kid on his bicycle and then showing him growing up, and he walks into the United Center. One of the greatest commercials of all time. MJ didn't play the 5, but he'll drive every cent. He's too tiny, man. MJ, little tiny MJ would have got walked, boy. Hakeem Olajuwon was one of my favorites. See, I got to be honest with you. The greatness in Michael Jordan is this. This is a stat LeBron will never have. This is a stat Kobe will never have. And in my debate with Muscles and Gary from 3D this morning about LeBron, MJ, Kobe, GOAT conversation, the only fact you ever have to tell me about Michael being the GOAT, because he is. I'm just fucking with you guys. Jordan, even though I was a Cavs fan, we love Jordan. Like, my dad would, as a young boy, Jordan would be starch in the Cavs. And my dad would make me watch Jordan's post-game press conference. He'd be like, Johnny, stay here. He was like, watch how he dresses, watch how he speaks. And this was the time in the 90s where everybody in the NBA were wearing, like, hoodies. Nobody was really dressing. MJ was in a suit, schmick, tailored up with the one earring, the big hoop ring, shaved, just dropped 45 on a team, speaking just with intent. My dad was like, look, this guy, ultimate professionalism. Even though we hated him, we also loved him. Here's the stat about MJ. MJ kept more Hall of Fame players from winning world championships than any player ever in NBA history. Think about this list, and I'm sure there's more. Patrick Ewing, Hall of Famer, no ring. Reggie Miller, Hall of Famer, no ring. Karl Malone, Hall of Famer, no ring. John Stockton, Hall of Famer, no ring. Charles Barkley, Hall of Famer, no ring. Dominique Wilkins. Wilkins was my favorite player when I was a kid, that Human Highlight film. So there's just off the top of my head, 5 guys there, no rings, Hall of Famers, all because Michael Jordan played in their era. Now that, in my opinion, makes him the GOAT. I mean, you could talk about the flu game in Utah. You could talk about the buzzer beaters, against Cleveland. You could talk about, all the famous stories. But it's what he did throughout his career with some of the greatest Hall of Famers in his era. And them boys don't got rings because of him. Like, what, dude? That's insane. That is the craziest stat to me. Y'all just don't got rings because of one guy. What? That is insane when you think about it. Johnny, what are your thoughts about, like, Ika Beabuchi just fought. I'm a fan of the president. Yeah, he got locked up in the Pookie for that Las Vegas hotel meltdown. Yeah, he's old, though. Johnny talking about he's not a basketball fan. Fresh BX, man. Fresh BX, man. It's just, I'm a product of my young environment when I was a kid. I grew up with Northeast Ohio. All we had were sports. So, I'm obviously a huge D. Mitchell fan and Darius Garland, but I'm just salty that we exited the playoffs the way we did. Dude, you got to understand, guys, being a Cleveland sports fan, Cleveland, Ohio. I could go on and on about, okay, here's what, we could start with the Browns. Never won a Super Bowl. This is a franchise that invented football. Why are we called the Browns? Paul Brown invented 2 franchises. Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals. At one time, the Bengals Stadium was called Paul Brown Stadium. Paul Brown, why we're called the Browns, Canton Football Hall of Fame, Northeast Ohio. I come from a town where you're born with a football in your hands. I played football from the time I was 6 until I was 18, like all the kids where I come from. Never won a Super Bowl. 1980s. We have a great team, dude. Marty Schottenheimer is our coach. We have a young Heisman-winning quarterback out of Miami, Bernie Kosar, right here. Bernie. We have a young potential all-pro running back, Ernest Biner. We're playing in the AFC Championship game. This is the famous fumble when the Browns could have kicked a field goal. They could have kicked a field goal. The snow's coming down. The coach makes an executive decision to, rather than kick the field goal, give the ball to Biner. No secret, Biner fumbles the ball. We lose. The Browns end up trading Ernest Biner when he was young. Biner then goes on to have a potential, I'm not quite sure, I'd have to check, Hall of Fame career, wins Super Bowl rings with Washington after he left Cleveland. The Browns move overnight in 94. Art Modell takes the team, one of the founding teams, to Baltimore overnight, didn't do an announcement. Within 2 years, Baltimore Ravens win a Super Bowl. We still never have won a Super Bowl. The game's against Denver Broncos with Elway. The Drive, that's the Browns. The Indians. In 1996, the Cleveland Indians, 8 of our 9 starters were all-stars. In that outfield, we had Kenny Lofton, Albert Bell, Manny Ramirez in the outfield. We had Omar Vizquel, Carlos Baerga in the middle. We had Jim Thome playing first. We had Sandy Alomar, one of the greatest catchers of all time catching. And we didn't win a World Series. That happened to us multiple times. Basketball. So the whole point is, in 16 with LeBron, you'll never be able to talk me out of being a LeBron fan. Even though he left, the dude came back and won a title for Cleveland. Come on, dude. That's insane. They should build the statue right now. It should be a 50-foot bronze statue. We are all witnesses. That dude, legend. Also, when you know about his story from Akron, his mom had him when his mom had LeBron when she was 15. LeBron was raised by his 15-year-old mom's friends. Like, that is freaking insane. Here's another thing. When he was a senior at Akron St. Vincent St. Mary, he had already been on the cover of Sports Illustrated as a 16-year-old. His sophomore year, they do that cover, The Chosen One, where he's palming the ball, and it says The Chosen One. 16, right? Pressure through the roof. 18, gets a $90 million Nike contract, right? Before he even plays one game in the NBA. What he then goes on to do, his boys at Akron St. Vincent St. Mary, you had Romeo Travis was one of them. You had Rich Paul was one of them. I'm forgetting some of their names. For his whole first year in Cleveland, he put them guys on. They made a sports agency. He gave them all American Express black cards, so the type of credit cards at the time that didn't have a limit. They travel with them. So, and then he goes on to have this, with all that pressure, he not only goes on to become an all-star, he not only goes on to win championships, he goes on to win his hometown a championship. Like, what other guy has lived up with that much pressure and has done it for so long, who started from such behind the 8 ball? If you guys want to talk about, Kobe grew up, Kobe was a military family. He was born in Italy. The dude was private school raised. We know he went to high school in, Lower Merion in Philly. Michael Jordan, good family as well. This is nothing against good families. We all want to come from good families. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. LeBron started, if this is the 8 ball, LeBron started like 39 blocks behind the 8 ball. So that's another thing. This went down a dark road. Sorry, guys. I apologize. I told you I don't like basketball. I thought the fight was close. I'll get back to LeBron's a good dude. Y'all good story. LBJ Height, when he came into the league, I never witnessed nothing like it. Yeah, man. It was insane. Bron with the in your year was insane. Victor Vallejo, nice to see you join. Oh, Vallejo joined the Discord? That's what's up. I met one of the dudes, Akron St. Vincent St. Mary team. You talk about Giant 6'9", felt like I never looked up that high. Here's a fun little story before I let you guys go. When Akron, if you guys remember when LeBron's first few years in Cleveland, his biggest rival was actually Jason Maxiell. So Jason Maxiell was playing center for Detroit. And Maxiell, when they get to the league, Maxiell never panned out. And I forget the statistic, but Maxiell had like multiple technical fouls against LeBron when Cleveland and Detroit were going up against each other. The reason is in high school, when LeBron was at St. Vincent St. Mary, Max Seal, I think, went to Cincinnati St. Ed's. Max Seal either went to Cincinnati St. Ed's or Cincinnati Xavier. And Max Seal was the dude coming out of Ohio. LeBron had all the hype, but even when they would face each other in high school, Max Seal would get the best of him coming up. And by the time they get to the NBA, we all know how the story ends. And I always have to remind people like that Max Seal used to play so salty against LeBron because when they were younger, Max Seal was here and then LeBron ended up passing him up. Oh, healthy Penny Hard, dude. I put Penny Hardaway in the same class as you take a healthy Penny Hardaway, a healthy Derrick Rose, you take a healthy Grant Hill, you take Dominique Wilkins who never gets injured. Maybe a Tracy McGrady or a Vince Carter. You know, both guys ended up having decent long careers, but they overcame injuries as well. But yeah, Penny, Derrick Rose, oh, Larry Johnson. Dude, people forget about Grandmama, LJ. When LJ was at UNLV, in my opinion, people talk about the greatest teams of all time. UNLV, when they had Stacey Ogman, the Plastic Man, Larry Johnson, I think Greg Anthony was the third one, if my memory serves me correctly. I think they only played 2 years at UNLV, the Running Rebels. But, dude, LJ was a goddamn dog, man. When he came into the league, dude, with Charlotte, everybody was rocking that little boom. And that's why people, have you guys seen these memes online with the Charlotte Hornets pullover? And people were like, oh, nobody knew why we wore the Charlotte Hornets pullover in the 90s, but we all did. It's like, bitch, we know why we wore the Charlotte Hornets pullover because at one time, LJ was that dude. Larry Johnson was that guy. That's why everybody wore the hoodie, the pullover. Frankie, healthy. Oh, Brandon Roy was the dude too. There's a lot. I guess the list is bigger than I thought. I guess because Brandon probably cut his teeth in Portland, and I didn't see a lot of his games. But Brandon Roy was that guy. Ball player. Joel Embiid, stay getting hurt. Dude, he looks good for his age. Really. You guys are too kind. Lamont Roach and Gabriel Flores, give me a break. Yeah, David Eister, I agree. Tank is a huge hype job. Guys, it is 7:30. There ain't nothing to talk about. I'll leave it on. There's 30 of you. When this dips below 20, I'll get off. But somebody start a topic. What do you guys want to talk about? You guys got me cooking. It's Tuesday morning. I've already coached 2 clients, so I came on with you boys at 6:30. I had a 5 a.m. live stream. So I work out with my clients, by the way. So I do a 30-minute live stream, 5 a.m. on my Tuesday morning with a kid who lives in Ohio. 30-minute continuous clock. We do like body weight squats, body weight push-ups, wall sits, planks, sit-ups, etc. And then I do a 5:45 a.m. similar session with a client on the live stream who lives in Sydney. And so those are my 2 back-to-back. I get you guys at 6:30. And then I have a client. I got a deadlift. I got a power lift. So I'm deadlifting and squatting in the same session in about 2.5 hours. So I got nothing to do. Victor, up to you, buddy. Big Dubs, love to fully support. Appreciate you, Victor Vallejo, my guy. David Eister, damn, that's happening. Didn't know about that. Boxing Fan says, Lamont Roach versus Shakur. What are my thoughts? I actually like that fight, Boxing Fan. I think Shakur's size at 135 would actually, when you mix Shakur's size, his reach, his speed and reflexes, and his sort of movement. The way Tank was fighting Roach in the pocket in the middle of the ring, and the way Roach was catching and shooting, I don't think he'd be able to get away with that against Shakur. Shakur's a bit too slippery for that, and I think Shakur would be the one catching and shooting. This is going to sound crazy. If Roach fights Shakur, and Roach fights Shakur how he fought Tank, this is a hot take, I think Shakur could stop Roach. I do. I think if Roach fought just as Roach fought Tank, beautifully in the pocket, catching and shooting, boom, boom. I think Shakur's timing. Shakur has better timing than Tank. Shakur has better speed than Tank. Shakur's bigger. Doesn't have that one punch crack. We know that. But I mean, I think Shakur's volume, way more volume than Tank. Tank, not a big volume guy. We know that. He kind of gets caught looking for his shots, which worked until it didn't work. I would be high on Shakur against Roach and probably would take him to stop him. But, I don't like future matchups. Derrick Rose getting injured back to back. I know, it was sad, dude. You didn't even have to be a Bulls fan to agree with that. It was sad. Yeah, just because everything, I love cheering for a guy who doesn't like fame in any sport. My favorite thing about Rose is that, you know, he was kind of annoyed with being famous. He just wanted to go out there and play ball. And you see that basketball, so if you guys could attest to this, if you guys played sports growing up, being in a basketball locker room, I played basketball from the time I was 6 until I graduated high school. I was a two guard my whole life. I wore number 25 my whole life because of Mark Price. There's some basketball footage I put up on my Instagram. I still ball. I got a hoop. I got a court, a nice court right here. But you go to a basketball locker room, and this is at any level. Basketball guys carry themselves differently. A lot of basketball guys are kind of introverted a bit, which is insane because there's no equipment, there's no helmet, the fans see you. But a lot of guys, it's one of these really introspective sports. A baseball locker room, kind of a little bit more fuckery going on. But still, baseball guys are way more superstitious. So of all the sports I played, baseball was hands down the most superstitious sport. Everything from like you're on a hitting streak to where I'm not shaving to we're not stepping on the chalk line from home plate to first base because it's bad luck. These sort of things. Rub the helmet for good luck. Baseball, super superstitious. American football, the most insane locker rooms. American football is fucking frat house, dude. I played all three of these sports all the way up until I graduated high school, and then I played baseball a little bit longer. But Derrick Rose is a guy, I grew up, not talent, but I'm close friends with a few guys with that similar personality. They were good at basketball. Very in their own head. And it's probably what made him such a great player. He was just able to laser focus, concentration, no distraction. Dude, when you watch him jump, watching him leap, dude, oh my God. What a talent. Coming out of Memphis. That was when it was, wasn't that when it was Memphis State or Memphis? I know they changed their name recently. It's the same college Penny went to. Jazz, that DAZN pay-per-view card has some MMA guy in it, Johnny, like Tony Ferguson. I don't know much about him. Yeah, there's the DAZN card has one real boxing fight on it. It's at light heavyweight. We got likes at 19. It's better than 12, boxing fans. 72 minutes in. What Roach is doing, claiming he wants to face good fighters and then ducks his tail. Who's he ducking? Who's Roach ducking? Gary Russell, 135 version, call Roach. Well, the 37-year-old Gary Russell Jr., you got to understand why Roach isn't ducking Gary Russell Jr. Roach feels like what he did against Tank. Why would he fight a 37-year-old, very dangerous, tough style with Gary Russell Jr. who can't sell? You know what I'm saying? So Roach is coming at it from a business perspective, and it's now or never for him as well. He wants to make that money. Come on, David. You know this game. He wants to make that money. Let's get it. I think so. Rose was a really chill guy. Didn't like to be asked for pictures. Yeah, and some people would get rubbed the wrong way by that. If you try to actually interact with him as a human, he was more receptive. Yeah, Darren Tell's Salt Poppy. Yeah, I ain't betting on Darren Till. Darren Till's fighting Luke Rockhold. Rockhold's a former UFC champion. Darren Till was a guy who never panned out. When Darren Till came on the scene from Cage Warriors to the UFC, all the hype was on Darren Till. This is a striker from Liverpool. This is a Cage Warriors champion. This is a kid who moved to Brazil because he got forced out of Liverpool, goes to Brazil. He speaks Portuguese. So Darren Till, and then, big, long striker, but then he would have weight cutting issues. And then there started being some cracks in his personality. You started seeing some cracks in his discipline. And, one of those fights that jumps out the table is when he goes back to the UK and he got starched against Jorge Masvidal in a fight that he shouldn't have lost. Jorge was a guy who cut his teeth at 55. You know what I'm saying? Great all-around pro. But that was a feature fight for Till. And look what happened. Gets starched against Masvidal. That was that famous afterwards. Jorge then went after Leon Edwards or Jorge's doing his post-fight presser, and Leon Edwards is walking, talking trash, and that's when Jorge's gave him the two-piece with a side of fries. So, and then look how Masvidal, I knew Masvidal when he was fighting in the backyards of Kimbo Slice's backyard fights. I remember watching Jorge Masvidal as a 16-year-old, and then he gets, he was always training at American Top Team down in South Florida. So, and one of the best nicknames in combat sports, Game Bred. If you know anything about game bred, it's a term used in dog fighting. Game bred is a term they use when your dog is game bred, fight to the death. And what a great nickname for a fighter. And so he had already been well respected in the fight game, already had a long career before that Darren Till knockout, but that knockout propelled him on a different trajectory into the mainstream. He ended up getting those, that big fight against Ben Askren, and then, on and on, title shots, title opportunities. Didn't win all of his fights, but Darren Till went the other way. And Luke Rockhold is a guy at one time, he was being dubbed the best athlete in all of MMA. He was being dubbed as this guy that, took the belt from Chris Weidman. Weidman is winning the fight in the first round and a half. And then Weidman, who's a wrestler, a grappler, Weidman had taken the belt from the invincible Anderson Silva. And, he knocked him out the one time, and then his leg got snapped on the second time. But Weidman was undefeated at the time, the All-American, and then he's fighting Luke, and then he goes for the spinning technique, a technique that we had never seen, and then gets taken down and pummeled and beat and grounded, pounded to death. Luke takes the belt. When Luke took the belt, people were like, this guy, he built from iron, you know what I'm saying? Not an ounce of body fat, trains like a goddamn savage. He was dating models. He was doing sort of like Prada ads, Southern California kid, and all the hype was on Luke. And then Bisping put his hand up. They had this rivalry. And then Bisping beat him on short notice, because I think Luke beat him the first time. And then Bisping knocked him out, going with an awkward combination, pushing. Luke was either, if I was at this fight, it was either Luke was backing up, or Luke was pressuring Bisping, and Bisping knocked him out backing up. Anyway, after that happened, Rockhold was never the same guy, and now here we go. Schofield versus Roach. I'm here for it. I like that matchup. Victor Vallejo says Ben Askren in the hospital. Which is he still in the hospital, man? Heartbreaking stuff, man. That is. People don't understand the severity of infections. That is, he got it from MRSA. I'm pretty sure he got it, which is MRSA is an outcome of a really bad staph infection. And I remember when, my dad tried to have me wrestling. He wanted me to wrestle when I was 8. He wanted, every school I grew up with had a wrestling program, because he played football. He was a big dude, different style athlete than me. When he played football, he played offensive guard and defensive tackle. He was 6'4". When I played football, I was a quarterback, different style of athlete. And I remember he tried getting me to wrestle, and I remember the space and proximity. It was the same time I started boxing. I was 7. I was like, I fucking hate wrestling. Don't touch me. I don't like being touched. It's like you putting your body on me, man. I'm gonna keep you off me. Like, don't fucking touch me. So I never liked wrestling because of that, but I had to do it. And when I was 21, I'm in LA. I joined Hoist Gracie's jiu-jitsu gym in Long Beach. It was called Neutral Grounds. I don't know if it's still there. It was on Clark Street, which is kind of like in between Belmont Shore and North Long Beach. Still a nice neighborhood, kind of near Wilson High, which is where Snoop Dogg went to high school. Cameron Diaz went to Wilson, and very famous high school, Wilson Classical High School, they call it. And Hoist had a gym called Neutral Grounds. I go there for like 2 weeks, and every time I'd go there, I feel like they're trying to break my arm, and everybody had staph. Everybody had fucking rashes and sores and nasty shit. And if you know me, dude, I'm like, I don't like nasty shit, dude. I don't like, people who smell and don't take care of themselves and have bad hygiene, messy people who don't clean up. I don't like any of that shit. So staph, anyways, and that's Ben Askren's. Wrestlers and grapplers always have it, because sweat and infection and cuts and scrapes and all that shit. Disgusting. So that's what he's in the hospital for. I've been high on Floyd from day one. See, I had to become a believer. You boys know, I wasn't high on Floyd, probably because of Auntie Sco. Auntie Sco put a bad taste in my mouth because no, what do you young kids say? Pause. Auntie Sco put a bad taste in my mouth because he blocked me on Instagram, and then I got caught. I got caught betting with my heart, not my wallet, and bet for Tevin to beat him. And Floyd goes out, and fucking had the performance of his life. My coworker said he wrestled. He said it was the gayest sport he played. Pedro, I wrestled for a day. It was too, dude. Yeah, I'd much rather strike. I like things at distance. I ain't trying to be touched by a grown ass man, sweating, nuts in my face. I'm cool. Like, what are we doing? Are we getting paid? You gonna pay me? I'm not trying to do all that. Cleanliness is 100%, man. Hygiene. That is a lost art, boys. Hygiene. Tell your boys. You know. I assume. I expect all of the Johnny Says Boxing insiders to be hygienic, right? We have to project ourselves out as gentlemen, trained gentlemen, educated, groomed, clean. Pause. I used it right then. Yeah, so I don't even let men cut my hair. See, it not quite like that, bro. So you're the wrestling man. David, so Johnny, if Roach continues to face no hopers, are we gonna hold his feet? No. So David, so is that Roach fight signed, sealed, and delivered? Because it sounds to me you're victim blaming David Eister. You're victim blaming. Roach was supposed to fight Tank. Tank's fighting Jake Paul. Tank's sparring Jake Paul. And so because Tank ducks Roach to get paid, you're blaming Roach now for taking a fight? Come on, baby. Nothing like a nice shower after a hard train. Oh, nothing like it, right, Manior? Flores is garbage fight. But so what do you do? Do you fight or you don't fight then, David? Do you not take the fight? Yeah, guys, we're 80 minutes in. By this time, the live stream's just chaos. Chat about. I get that aspect. Yeah, David. So that's my issue. It's tough for me to. I didn't know Roach had a fight, but like you're saying, Flores. Because when we look at the full story, it would be I feel it would be illogical for me to go after Roach for whoever he's fighting, considering all things considered. This is excusable because all the other top guys are there. You know who we got coming up in 2 weeks, boys? We got Sugar Nunes fighting in 2 weeks. No one's talking about it. I'm super excited with that. So Sugar's fine. He's defending his belt. I guess, you know, a tough opponent. Not a household name. I really wanted to see Nunes versus Kakashi. I thought we were going to see that fight. Kakashi's training again. If you follow Kakashi's Instagram, it looks like he's healthy. He fought Lee Wood, and then he was supposed to... I was going to take Kakashi to beat Ray Ford. I mean, that's kind of controversial, but I think Kakashi, the version of Kakashi who beat Lee Wood, I think Kakashi's style would cause... If anything, Kakashi's style will force Ray Ford into a dogfight. I want to see Ray Ford in a dogfight. I want to see Ray Ford come back when he's down. I want to see Ray Ford get dropped and win. Like, these are things... This is why when guys get dropped, you'll never hear me call. I love when a guy gets dropped and comes back and wins. Abdullah Mason, I'm here for it. Nega Inoue, I'm here for it. You know what I mean? Like, the drama, there's certain guys who get dropped, they can't win. Like Mike Tyson. I mean, controversial, but it's no secret. You know, he couldn't be the nail. He was only the hammer. Not a lot of guys could come back from the dead. Chico Corrales against Luis Castillo. Kelly Pavlik against Jermaine Taylor. You know, not a lot of guys could do that. Some guys rely on just cooking, momentum. And that's why I kind of wish I wanted to see Floyd get dropped. I wanted to see Floyd get dropped in his career and come back. I want to see Bud get dropped. I actually want to see Bud get dropped against Canelo and see if he could come back and win. We'll see. You know, this is why I'm like Devin Haney. Devin Haney gets dropped multiple times and kept coming against Ryan. That's a narrative people should be talking about. Not Devin Haney runs or Devin Haney's dad or Devin Haney. No, dude got dropped multiple times and kept coming and lost a very close split decision. That's the narrative on the Garcia fight. And I didn't even mention Garcia doing the gear. I didn't mention Garcia missing weight. I didn't mention Garcia getting suspended for a year. So I like guys who get dropped and come back. Osley Iglesias versus Yenli Hernandez. I want to see that. Heaven sent. I want to send Jonas versus Norman. Stanionis though has. You just want to see that. There's no Stanionis doesn't deserve losing and then fighting for a belt again. He has to win. Maybe put Stanionis versus Tellez. Oh my bad. Tellez. Who am I thinking? Stanionis versus Polanco. But it's not a good fight either. He did with Komatov. Didn't Ray Ford come back and win? Did he? Did he? Okay. Loma too. Andre Ward, an example of a hammer and a nail, also better be. Well, Ward got dropped against Kovalev. How about that decision, boys? Ward versus Kovalev, the first one. What do you think? Floyd versus Zab. Johnny, you sleeping that did was it? Yeah. Okay. I'm fresh. I'm speaking statistically, because statistically Floyd never been dropped. I mean, you know who had, in my opinion, had Floyd in the most trouble was Shane. I thought Shane could have stopped Floyd early. Rewatched that exchange, and then Floyd ended up recovering and then did what Floyd does. Or does what Floyd did. Did what Floyd does. Yeah, but Shane caught him nice. But yeah, I forgot about Zab. Diaz took huge bombs from Navarrete until finally succumbing in the 12th. I think Navarrete is more heavy-handed than Nunes. Oh, you think? Navarrete is super awkward than Nunes. Marquez against Katsidas. Yeah, not as skilled, though. Ryan broke his jaw. The dude, facts. Boxing fan. Haney is a beat man walking with Norm. Yeah, I'm it's hard for me to bet against Brian Norman Jr. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do I gamble on Devin Haney to beat Brian Norman Jr.? The boxing nerd in me is like, dude, Devin Haney's a good boxer. He has good hand speed. He is, he knows how to operate himself through a ring. He's good experience. That's the nerd in me. But logic, though. What have you done for me lately? What's the best version of Devin Haney, guys? What fight was Devin Haney at his best? We picked that one. What fight was Haney at his best? When was it? What fight was Brian at his best? Haney, pick one. Norman, he keeps getting better. You know what? It's really tough for me to pick against Norman. Yeah, heaven sent. Good point. Combo 2 or Regis. Okay. So that version, Money Meach. Does that version against George 2 or Regis, does that version, him at his best, does that version beat Brian Norman Jr.? Boxing fan, I got an autograph Haney glove we can give to a Discord member. Ah, mate, nah, keep the Haney glove, man. Boxing fan, I appreciate you, but the boys should be joining the Discord anyway. Come to the Discord. Join our community. Yeah, keep your Haney glove. That's a cool gift, man. That's a cool little memorabilia. I appreciate you, boxing fan. What you have done for me lately. Exactly, Vic. Devin can outbox Brian by running. Yeah, how big is the FX? We got to see how big the ring's going to be. It's weird how, like, people are saying Brian can't box. Brian's a good boxer. Brian has speed, too. I'm not so quick to say that Devin's going to be faster than him. And Haney and Brian has more power, more aggressive. We got to see how big the ring is. What if Brian versus Haney is the same ring as Vito Melnicki? Did you guys watch Vito Melnicki's last fight in New Jersey like 3 months ago? It was a horrible fight. His opponent ended up popping for gear, but the ring was like, you know, a 10-foot ring. I think it was 14. Yeah, DJ Norman just keeps looking better and better. Was my point. He at 24 years old, turning 25, he's still leveling up to his game. Nunes does have power. Hell yeah, he has power. He has that swarming volume power. Nunes is one of my favorite guys to watch. I gotta be honest with you. I put I love watching Nakatani. I love watching Rafa Espinoza. I love watching Inoue. I love watching Bam. I love watching Nunes. I love watching Virgil. I love watching Josh Kelly. I love watching. I've always liked Shakur, man. Hitchens. So yeah, there's a lot of fighters when they fight. I love watching certain styles, but as you can see, if you add all those up, I like movement. I like guys who are slick, traditionally, like Paul Spadafora, Pernell Whitaker, Floyd Mayweather. I love those sort of fighters, but I also like brawlers. I love sluggers. Arturo Gatti, Pavlik, James Toney. When 91 to 94, I shared this on my Instagram. 1991 to 1994, super middleweight James Toney is probably one of my favorite fighters of all time. If I had to do a top 10 list, he'd be in my top 5. He'd be in my top 5. Go watch 1990. Look at from 1991 to 1994 who James Toney and how James Toney beat them. Michael Nunn, world champion. Iron Barkley, world champion. There's other names in there. I think he went like from 91 to 94 at 168. Maybe like 12, 13-0, maybe 10 stoppages. I'd have to see those stats. That's just off the top of my head. I was a kid. I was watching James Toney when I was 9 years old. So I started boxing when I was 7, 1989. James Toney in 91, yeah, so I was 9 years old. Toney had this style, mate, dude. 168 version, catch and shooting from the pocket, trading with you, slick. Oh, God, dude. Lights out James Toney, people forget because he had some guys just have too long of a career, and he went up so many weight classes. He went all the way up to heavyweight. So a lot of people remember the overweight James Toney with the cigar in his mouth. I remember the 8% body fat James Toney with the skin fade and, the haircut that kind of looked like he kind of looked like, what was his name? Eddie from The Temptations. What was the lead singer of The Temptations' name? They've had like 4 of them, but the OG lead singer, Eddie. Tony, yeah, Mike McCallum, the body snatcher. Great fight. Great fight. But what version of Toney? A lot of people say James Toney's their favorite fighter, but I always ask what era, what version of him. Because some guys like light heavyweight version of Toney. That's why I had to reference super middleweight version. Because he fought big names going all the way up. Mike McCallum, the body snatcher. I mean, those two. John, you're talking about Johnny Tapia. RJJ, James Toney. Yeah, Roy. Roy for like 3 years was the best fighter on earth. Y'all must have forgot. Roy's one of my favorites too. But Roy, reflex fighter, insane. The knockout with his hands behind his back. Oh, what are we talking about? He walks his opponent. He's walking his opponent into this trap with his hands behind his back against the ropes and then slips. Pop! God damn it, he was insane. Roy was insane. Tapia was good. 2 weeks. Jamar Charlo. Mahmoud, sorry for spelling John. It's all good. MJ. Well, the years Roy. This is off the top of my head. This is what I rely on you guys to fact check me, by the way. Like I don't have a young Jamie like Rogan had. I don't have, I don't know how to pull up the screen. I don't know how to do all this tech stuff. So in my memory, why do I felt like it was like 3 years of invincibility, reflex fighting, not throwing a jab, knocking guys out with his lead hook. Maybe it was longer. Yes, I mean, he was undefeated for a while. I'm not talking 47 knockout, dude. What a stud. Okay, I'm talking about. So he got DQ'd against. So 96. When did he fight? Yeah, when he fought McCallum in 96. He stopped Montel Griffith, stopped Virgil Hill, stopped Frazier. I was freaking way off. Holy shit. I was way off. It was more like 7 years. It was more like 7 years. It was from 96 to 2003 when he, the first Tarver fight. And then he got stopped against Tarver. I mean, he had gone up he fought Tarver. Dude, when he knocked out John Ruiz at 225, or he UD'd John Ruiz, he went up to goddamn heavyweight and beat John Ruiz, and he weighed 226. That's insane. He won a unanimous decision. So that was in 2003. In 96, he was at super middleweight when he stopped, Tony Thornton. Damn, dude, you got to go back to 94 then. So 8 years. 8 years. So when he beat James Toney he beat James Toney in 94. So that was the peak. So that was like the passing of the torch then. So he beats Toney in 94 by decision at super middleweight. And then he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. He goes 25-0. I don't count the DQ loss. He goes 25-0 from 94 to 2004, a decade. So I was way off, dude. 3 years. That's my memory. I smoked too much weed in college, boys. I was smoking way too much weed. 10 years. So, y'all must, in Roy's own words, y'all must have forgot. I definitely forgot. Holy shit. That's insane. Roy was that dude. Boxing fan, you got a young Jamie, my guy. We need to get we're boxing fan going into the next month. We're taking our shit to the next level. By the way, we need to have a chat. We need to jump on actually a video call to get this tech stuff sorted. All right, boys, it's over an hour and a half. It's 8 a.m. I could stay here all day. I got to get off. One of my good mates had his first kid. His wife is from the most isolated part of China, to where his wife, he married a woman, she's from the part of China where there's Siberian tigers. I reference this because these are like real tall, like porcelain skin, beautiful women, dark hair. And he's half Brit and half Indian. So the baby, her name is Raya. I haven't seen her yet. She's like a month old. I can't wait to see her. She's going to be adorable. So I'm going to go back squat now, and then I'm going to go meet little Raya for the first time. And I probably won't be able to go live again today. That's why I stayed on for such a long time. Appreciate you, boys. Victor, God bless everybody. Be good, guys. I'll see you soon. Join that Discord. I'll see you in the Discord. The chat goes continuously in the Discord. Like this video whenever you're tuning in, however you help.